Hello, friends. Have you ever imagined waking up in a place where everyone believes you're dead? Tonight's story takes us into one of the darkest and most shocking thriller narratives ever told. It follows Anna Fritz, a famous actress whose body is brought to a hospital morgue after being declared dead. But what begins as a tragic incident soon turns into a terrifying nightmare when three young men make a decision driven by greed, curiosity, and moral corruption. Unaware that Anna is still alive, they become trapped in a series of horrifying events that spiral completely out of control. As secrets unfold, fear grows, friendships break apart, and survival becomes the only goal. Every minute raises the tension, forcing the characters to face the consequences of their actions. This gripping psychological thriller explores guilt, desperation, and the fight to stay alive against impossible odds. Stay with me until the end, because this story delivers twists you will never see coming and an ending that will leave you speechless. So without wasting any more time, let's go. Tonight, these three boys were going to do something that would make anyone's soul tremble just thinking about it. Drunk, these three were standing inside a morgue house, and in front of them was the corpse of a famous and beautiful actress, Anna Fritz. But there was neither fear nor regret on their faces, but dangerous greed was visible in their eyes, which was gradually forcing them to cross every limit of humanity. After a while, these people were going to do such disgusting things with that helpless body that it was not easy to even think about. But what they did know was that the story of the girl they thought was dead was not over yet, because Anna's breathing had not yet completely stopped. She was still alive and could feel everything that was happening to her. Now the question is, how did Anna get to this state, and what happened to her that night? We have to go back a little in the story to find out. At the beginning of the story, we see the dead body of a famous actress, Anna Fritz, being brought to the morgue. After this, Anna's body is kept in the morgue of the hospital. There was an employee who worked here named Pal. When Pal sees Anna's body for the first time, he can't believe his eyes. After all, there was not an ordinary person but the corpse of a big celebrity lying in front of him. But this enthusiasm makes him make a big mistake. He secretly takes a photo of Anna's body and sends it to some of his friends, and this is where the trouble begins. After this, his friends come to meet him at the hospital. One of them was named Ivan, and the other was named Hobby. These people look at the girl sitting there with the wrong eye as soon as they reach the hospital. Looking at them, it is clear that their intentions are not quite right. Actually, all three of them were going to do the party. But Pal couldn't go with them right now because there was about 1 hour left for his duty to end. As soon as Pal's duty is over, they all go out of the hospital and start drinking alcohol there. Meanwhile, Pal tells his friends that Anne Frigg's body has come to the morgue today. Upon hearing this, Ivan's interest suddenly increases. His eyes light up. He immediately asks Pal if we can see his body. Upon hearing this, Pal flatly refuses because he knew that doing so could be a huge risk. If someone gets wind of it, they can also lose their job. But Ivan was not ready to admit this. He repeatedly tries to persuade Pav. After a long refusal, Pav finally gives up, and with this, he risks his job and takes his two friends to the part of the hospital where Anafis's body was kept. They had no idea that their decision would later lead to a horrific accident that would change the lives of the three of them forever. It was a restricted area of the hospital, a place where it was strictly forbidden for any outsider to visit. This was the reason why Pal was repeatedly telling his friends to be careful while going inside. He explains them again and again. If someone sees them here, it can be a big problem for them. The three slowly move inside the morgue. Meanwhile, Pal stops near a body and removes the cloth from it. But both Ivan and Hobby are shocked when they see her because she was not the corpse of Anna Fritz. Pal had joked with them. He then takes both of them to another part of the morgue, where Anna's body was kept. As they remove the cloth from his face, the two of them stare at him for a moment. The surprise was clearly visible on his face because Anna was really beautiful. He couldn't believe that the actress he used to see on the big screen was now lying in front of him. But from here, the atmosphere gradually begins to change. Ivan's behavior is no longer the same. He was repeatedly trying to get closer to Anna's body. Both his gaze and his words make Hobby uncomfortable. He begins to feel clear that it is not right for him to be here anymore. But Ivan does not take this seriously at all. On the contrary, he constantly says such things that increase Hobby's restlessness after hearing it. He tries to stop her several times. He says they should get out of here now. But Ivan was not ready to listen to a single word of her. Surprisingly, after a while, Pao also starts supporting Ivan's words. Seeing this, Javi gets even more upset. Now he begins to realize both of his friends are slowly forgetting their boundaries. He says, "What you are thinking of doing is absolutely wrong." But the intoxication of alcohol and the deteriorating thinking had so dominated both of them that Javi's words had no effect on them. After this, Pao and Javi are standing at a distance and watching everything. At the same time, Ivan had now completely forgotten his limits. He starts doing very wrong and common human things with Anna's body. Seeing this, Javi gets very angry. But now the situation had become much worse than he had thought. After a while, when Ivan finishes his actions, there is not the slightest remorse on his face. On the contrary, he does such things, as if he had done something great. Hearing this, Javi's patience starts to answer. He immediately starts arguing with her. Gradually, the atmosphere becomes even more tense. After some time, Pao also loses his temper, and he also goes near Anna's corpse and mistreats her. But suddenly, something happens that no one there had imagined. We see that Anna's eyes begin to open slowly. Anna wasn't actually dead. For some reason, he was presumed dead. But now he was slowly beginning to come to his senses. As soon as Pao sees her eyes open, the fear is clearly visible on her face. He screams loudly in fear. Ivan and Javi immediately arrive as soon as they hear his voice. But as soon as their eyes fall on Anna, both of them are completely stunned, because the girl they thought was dead until now was alive in front of them. For a few moments, there is a strange silence in the room. No one knows what to do now. But gradually, the same fear begins to arise in the minds of the three of them. If Anna goes out and tells everything to the police, her whole life will be ruined. But in this whole matter, Javi's thinking was different from the other two. He wasn't thinking about harming Anna, but he tried to calm her down. He gives her water. Not only this, he also helps her to get dressed because Anna was still very weak and in a frightened state. On the other hand, Ivan's mind was running fast. The only thing he was thinking in his mind was that he had to save himself at any cost. For this reason, he begins to think about a dangerous plan. But Javi doesn't agree with him at all. He explains to him again and again that whatever has happened, we cannot change it. But there is no bigger mistake to make to hide your mistake. Now slowly, the argument starts between the three. On one side was a frightened Anna. On the other hand, these three boys were nervous about their future. They were arguing. But then suddenly, a hospital employee comes inside that room. The three of them are shocked to see him here suddenly. Those people panic and hide immediately so that the employee does not notice them. On the other hand, Anna feels that this may be her last chance to escape. She tries her best to somehow get the attention of that employee. But his condition was very bad. She couldn't even speak properly. His body was almost numb as he was presumed dead for several hours. Even if she wanted to, she couldn't make enough noise for anyone to hear her voice. The employee stays there for a few seconds and then leaves. Anna's hope is shattered as she leaves because a great chance to get help has slipped out of her hands. On the other hand, Ivan's nervousness begins to increase again. He was repeatedly afraid that if Anna survived, their lives would be ruined. In this fear, he talks about making a very dangerous decision. But this time, Javi doesn't keep quiet. He stands directly in front of Ivan. In anger, he says that we should be punished for what happened. But I won't let you do any more wrong. Hearing this, Ivan's anger erupts. He feels that Javi has now become the biggest obstacle in his path, and the next moment a scuffle breaks out between the two. The argument turns into a fight in no time. In a fit of rage, Ivan attacks Javi. Seeing the situation worsening, Pao intervenes and somehow tries to separate the two. Eventually, he stops fighting. But by then, a lot of damage had been done as Javi had suffered a serious head injury in this clash and was bleeding from his head. Seeing this, both Pao and Ivan panic. Until recently, his concern was this. But now his own friend was badly injured. So both try to handle him immediately. They then drag Javi to another room. Anna is also taken there. Anna was now even weaker than before. Ivan, on the other hand, was completely nervous. He felt that the condition was slowly slipping out of his hand. Now he wanted to hide everything at all costs. So Pau and Ivan start cleaning the blood stains in the room so that no one suspects them. But then another problem arises. A nurse from the hospital comes there. As soon as he sees her, Pau goes to him. He tries to show himself normal in front of her. He immediately adjusts his clothes and poses in front of her as if everything is fine. On the other hand, Anna tries to use all her remaining strength to ask for help. He knew this might be his last chance. But his voice was so weak that it was not heard properly, and that's when Ivan quickly approaches him and he tries to calm him down somehow. After some time, he takes Nurse Pau with him and leaves. After this, when Ivan goes to see Javi's condition, he feels something strange. He immediately leans close to her and tries to pick her up. But the next moment he loses consciousness because Javi is now dead. For a few seconds, Ivan doesn't understand anything and keeps looking at her silently. The friend who had stood in front of him a while ago was gone forever. As soon as he realizes this, the ground slips under his feet. When Pau comes back into the room a little later, he also finds out the truth. As soon as his eyes fall on Javi, he is completely broken. He can't believe that his friend is no longer in this world. Tears start coming out of his eyes, and for a few moments he is completely silent. Now Ivan tries to handle him. He says repeatedly, "It was not intentional. It was just an accident." However, he himself was terribly scared. Anna was lying there and listening to everything. She was still very weak, but he clearly understood what was going on there. Then she says in a low voice, "You will definitely be punished for what you have done." Upon hearing this, panic appears on Ivan's face again. He realizes that as long as Anna is alive, his troubles are not going to end. So he takes Pau out of the room. "What do you do next? Let's talk about it." On the other hand, Anna's condition gradually starts to get a little better. Some strength begins to come back to his body. Seeing the opportunity, she gathers courage and throws herself down from the stretcher. It wasn't easy at all, but he had no choice but to try. After falling to the ground, his eyes go to the key lying nearby. That's when a hope arises in his mind. She somehow reaches out to him and takes out the mobile from his pocket. Outside the room, Ivan was explaining to Pau. He says if we get caught, our whole life will be ruined. Now there was only one thing going on in his mind. Somehow, you have to protect yourself. During this time, he says that Javi's body will have to be hidden somewhere else, and something will have to be done with Anna too. Hearing this, Pau becomes even more upset. He begins to feel that things have gone too far. But because of fear, he was not able to openly oppose Ivan. Here, Anna hurriedly tries to call someone. He knew he had very little time. She wanted to ask for help somehow. With trembling hands, she dials a number. But that's when Ivan and Pau come back into the room. His eyes immediately fall on Anna, and the next moment he snatches the mobile from her hand. Evan immediately checks the phone. Then he finds out that Anna had called a number. For a moment, his heartbeat quickens. But when he sees that the call was not received from the other side, he gets some relief. They feel that the matter has not progressed much yet. After this, the two start taking Anna from there to another place. But then suddenly, there is a phone left in the room. The two look at each other in shock. But the most surprising thing was the number that Anna had called a while ago. Now a call was coming on Javi's phone from the same number. Seeing this, the color of both Ivan and Pau's faces fades. Now Evan picks up the phone slowly. Someone's voice is heard from the other side. As soon as Anna realizes that the call has been made, she starts screaming with all her remaining strength. "Papa, Papa," he hoped that maybe someone would help him. But before she could say anything, Pau immediately squeezes her mouth and her voice is muffled. On the other hand, without wasting a moment, Evan just says the wrong number on the phone and immediately disconnects the call. For a few seconds, the room falls silent again. But now the panic on Ivan's face was more visible than ever. He comes back to Anna. There was fear and anger in his eyes. He stares at Anna and says, "Don't forget that you don't have much time left." But Anna was still not ready to be afraid. She looks straight into his eyes and says, "You guys won't survive. You will definitely be punished for it." Hearing this, Ivan becomes even more restless. He begins to realize that his fear will not end as long as Anna is alive. So he sets out to pick up a large container from there. His intention was to put Javi's body in it and take it somewhere else so that there is no trace of this whole incident. On the other hand, as soon as Ivan leaves, Pao starts tying Anna's hands and feet. But that's when Anna tries to talk to him. He feels that maybe there is still a little humanity left inside Pao. She says, "You can still stop. It wasn't all because of you." Actually, it's Ivan's fault. Hearing this, Pao is silent for a few moments. It was as if a battle was going on inside his mind. On the one hand, there was fear. On the other hand, his conscience. But the next moment, he composes himself and, instead of listening to Anna, taps her mouth so that she can't say anything more. After this, he leaves there and goes to another room where he starts erasing the rest of the evidence. On the other hand, Evan arrives to pick up the container. But then he notices two nurses who were standing nearby talking to each other. He immediately hides when he sees them. On the other hand, Anna sees that no one is present in the room anymore, so he understands that this is his chance. She once again tries to free herself with all her might. It wasn't easy. His body was now extremely weak. But the desire to survive did not allow him to give up. She slowly crawls out of the room, crawling on the floor. She was constantly moving forward. After some time, she reaches a nearby room. There, she hides. On the other hand, Evan was coming back from the elevator with the container, while Pao was still busy cleaning up the traces of blood. The two had no idea yet that the situation had changed again. But as soon as Iban reaches back into the room, he stays there for a moment because Anna was not present there. The stretcher was empty. Seeing this, his heartbeat quickens. The next moment, he panics and runs to Pao and says that Anna has run away. Hearing this, everything slips out of Pao's hands. Now they both understood. If help somehow reached Anna, it would be almost impossible for them to escape. Now both Pao and Ivan were terribly nervous. They didn't understand where Anna had gone, so the two start looking for different sides. On the other hand, Anna was crawling forward on the floor with the help of her remaining strength. With great difficulty, she reaches the elevator. It seemed to her that if she somehow managed to get inside the elevator, she might get a chance to get out of such a scary place. But fate had other plans. Just as the elevator door is about to close, Ivan suddenly gets there. Before Anna can understand anything, he grabs her by the feet and then drags her back to the morgue. Seeing this, it seems that Anna's last hope is also over. The place from which she got out so hard, she is brought back to the same place again. Meanwhile, Pao looks at Evan and says, "I know that Xavi's death was not just an accident." The suspicion in his voice was clearly audible. It seemed that now many questions have started arising in his mind too. But Ivan immediately gives his explanation. He repeatedly says that what happened was just bad luck. According to him, no one did anything deliberately. At the same time, he tries to convince Pao that he should not listen to Anna's words. But now, even Pao was growing fear and regret. He was beginning to feel that the situation had gone too far. For some time, there is an argument between the two about this. Then slowly they move on to a decision that was going to change their lives forever. Ivan says if Anna survives, he will never be able to survive. According to him, there was only one way to save himself. Pao also agrees with him. So Pao brings a cloth. Then Ivan suddenly looks at him and says, "It's not me, but you who will do it." Hearing this, Pao takes a step back. The panic on his face was clearly visible because Pao was still not ready to go as far as Ivan had gone. But Ivan constantly puts pressure on him. After this, the two decide to carry out this work together. As soon as they made this decision, Anna's condition began to deteriorate rapidly. She was already extremely weak, and now the strength left in her body was also running out. Eventually, the situation becomes such that his condition worsens, and then, after some time, his breathing stops forever. The next moment, there is a strange silence in the room, a silence that shakes every person there to the core. Now Anna was really dead. They then put Anna's body back on the stretcher. Javi's body, on the other hand, is hidden in a large container. Then Ivan walks out of the hospital with that container. He goes far enough to try to dispose of Javi's body so that there is no clue left against him. After completing his work, he returns to the hospital. On the other hand, Pao was constantly trying to erase the evidence. He cleans Anna's body and then puts it back to the way it was before. Now both of them felt that they had erased all their traces. He believed that no one would ever be able to reach the truth. But what they did know was that the truth of their crime was not yet completely hidden, and very soon that truth was going to come out in front of them once again. After this, Pao is about to leave from there, but that's when he feels something strange. He feels that there has been a slight movement in Anna's body. At first, he thinks it's his delusion, but the next moment he feels like Anna is trying to cough. Seeing this, he immediately goes to her, and as soon as he removed the cloth on her face, his senses are blown away because Anna was still alive. In fact, she was still pretending to be dead. Pao stares at him in surprise for a few moments. That's when Anna signals him to be quiet. In fact, some time ago, when Anna was repeatedly trying to convince Pao that the biggest culprit for this whole incident was Ivan. At the same time, a plan was made between the two. Anna had decided that she would pretend to be dead so that she could save herself at the right opportunity, and after all, she was a famous actress. Acting wasn't a big deal for her. He acted so brilliantly that not only Ivan, but also Pav fell into his trap for some time. But then Pao hears someone coming from outside. He understands immediately. Ivan is returning. He panics and immediately covers Anna's face again and stands up as if nothing happened. A few seconds later, Ivan arrives there. However, the doubts in his mind were still not completely gone, so he once again looks at Anna with great attention. After all, he is convinced that everything is fine. After this, he and Pao start to leave. But as he approaches the elevator, Ivan suddenly remembers that his ID card is missing, because if someone gets the card, then the whole truth will come out. So he immediately starts heading to the morgue to find her. Pao tries to stop him. He wanted Evan not to go back under any circumstances, but Evan doesn't listen to her. As he opens the door and walks in, his eyes are torn as Anna is standing in front of him, wearing her dress. Now all his doubts are dispelled in one fell swoop. He realizes that Anna is alive. Seeing this, Ivan's anger erupts. He immediately turns to Pao and accuses him of cheating. He angrily grabs Pav's throat. Pao tries to redeem himself, but Ivan was out of control. Just then, Anna, standing behind, sees the opportunity, rushes towards him, and attacks him in her defense. Everything happens so fast that Ivan doesn't get a chance to recover. He falls to the ground injured and dies in a few moments. Seeing this, the foot shakes completely. He can't believe what just happened in front of him. He panics and says to Anna, "What have you done?" But for what Anna had endured that night, Ivan was responsible as well as Pao. So Anna also attacks Pao after Ivan. She attacks so suddenly that even Pao loses his life on the spot. Now there is silence once again in the morgue. But this time, the silence was scarier than ever, and with this shocking ending, the film ends here. If you like this story, then do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel for such dark and thriller movies. So let's see our next video.